On today's show, the Over-Under series continues with myself and Robby Kalland talking about the Southwest Division. Stay tuned for a look at all 5 teams and numbers, overs, unders, and much more coming up.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1555 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Monday here in late September. And I encourage you, as I always do, to make us your first listen each and every day at the Locked On Hawks podcast and find us anywhere. You get your podcast places like Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and of course on YouTube on the video side as well. I am joined again by Robby Kalland today for our part 3 and our final Western Conference look at the over-under slate in the Southwest Division. Also, I should plug a 2-part episode I did last week at the end of the week with Ben Ladner, talking all things Hawks from last year to look-aheads to the Eastern pecking order, all of those fun things. Ben's always fun to talk to, and those are 2 great episodes that dropped on Friday afternoon. So without any further delay, Robby and I talking about Southwest Division coming up right now. Please stay tuned, subscribe to the podcast, and here we go. I am joined once again by Robby Kalland to continue our over-under series. Robby, thank you for doing this once again.
Always a pleasure. Happy to be here. Let's dive in. Southwest
Division on the way, the final division in the Western Conference that we have talked about so far. And we'll start with the team that has the highest over-under, although I noticed that it changed in the last couple days. It was 46.5 at FanDuel. Now it's 45.5 with the juice to the over. The Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, the headliner there is Ja Morant suspension, 25 games. Also, they got Marcus Smart on this team now, and they lost Tyus Jones and Dillon Brooks. They were much better than this a year ago, but of course, the suspension, trades, all that stuff. I will say, Robby, this feels low to me. What do you think?
Yeah, this was a pretty firm no play for me. I think we ended up, when I did this last time, I ended up leaning under, but it's one of those where it's it feels low. This is a team that just knows how to win in the regular season. The questions about this team have never been can they get they've won 50 plus back-to-back years, been a top 3 seed back-to-back years. They know how to win in the regular season. They know how to win without Ja Morant too. Ja Morant misses 20 plus games a year anyway. And they know how, and obviously some of that was Tyus Jones, but you would expect Marcus Smart would be a perfectly adequate replacement for that. Losing Dillon Brooks is certainly not nothing, particularly to their defense. But again, you had Marcus Smart, who kind of takes over in that regard as far as your lead wing and perimeter defender. And so it's one of those things for me that comes down to, if Ja comes back, we know he's going to miss 25 games. Is Ja also going to stay healthy enough through the other 57 games? To make the impact and keep this team near because you basically have to think this is once again at least close to a top half team in the West to bet the over here. And the question for me is we know Ja always tends to miss some time with various knocks. The way he plays, so much above the rim, so much speed and pace, and the aggression that he plays with, there's a lot of opportunity for ankles to get rolled and for hands to get hit or things happen that worries me a little bit, that he might miss 35 plus games, including the suspension. And if that's the case, this becomes really tricky to get to. I also think Steven Adams' health is something that's going to be really important, because as we saw last year towards the end of the year, when he was out, that really impacts how effective they are.
Yep.
The splits with him and Jaren Jackson Jr. together, they're one of the best teams in the league. When those two are together, they are dominant, because Steven Adams is kind of the one that grounds that defense. He's always going to end up in the right spot, and it allows Jaren to be the best version of himself, flying around, blocking shots, wreaking havoc, being the defensive player of the year guy. And when you don't have that, this is the problem that I thought Team USA had with Jaren Jackson trying to be that guy. is when you don't have that anchor next to him, there are opportunities for his aggression to work against him and against the team. And so if Steven Adams can come back and play his normal amount of games and be a 65, 70 game guy, even with Ja, then yeah, they can do this. But I guess for me, the reason I think we ended up leaning under was it just felt to me like there were more, the margins are so thin with the Ja suspension in terms of what injuries can do to them, that I felt like there were more opportunities. And again, it's a very thin, it's like a 55-45, more opportunities to go under. But this is a pretty firm stay away, because I've been wrong on the Grizzlies before. I've tried to come on here and be like, well, they're going to regress. And it doesn't happen. Like, they're just a really good regular season team. Old friend Taylor Jenkins gets the boys dialed up, ready to go. He's got, I mean, the thing is that entire Bud tree knows how to really work the regular season. Like, that's one thing that his entire coaching tree does incredibly well, is manage the regular season and win the games you're supposed to win. Like, that's the one thing Bud always did. Is Matt Moore loved to harp on this with the Bucks. He was like, dominate the division and dominate teams under 500. And the Grizzlies have always done that.
Yeah, I'm going to, you know what? Are you ready for this, Robbie? We're going to disagree for once. Over on the Grizzlies.
Okay. Talk me into it.
Over on the Grizzlies. The short version is, I think people still don't really realize how good they have been without Ja.
Yep.
Like, you would think they'd be worse without Ja than they have been.
Sure.
And yes, you mentioned Tyus Jones. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Adams missed half the season last year. 51 games, 51 wins last year with Adams missing half the season. Bain missed 24 games. Brandon Clark's out. That's notable. He's a helpful guy who gets forgotten about. But I think this is just too low. At 46.5, I wouldn't play it. 45.5, which FanDuel has right now as we're talking, I think I might even play the over. I like the over. I think it's kind of maybe the same thing as you. Like, I'm kind of done doubting the Grizzlies in the regular season. Importantly, in the regular season.
All
playoffs,
of
I still doubt it.
Yeah, playoffs, I don't know if this team is a playoff team. But yeah, I mean, and they also still have plenty to prove. And so I think that's the thing, is it's not a team.
And Marcus Smart is not going to fool around either. He's going to come in and be like, hey, guys, we're going to win now. We're going to win still. I like to win. I'm a maniac competitor.
Yes.
We could go back. I like the over. A rare disagreement.
Fair.
That's fine. We're allowed to disagree.
That's what it's all about. It is better for the show.
Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. If you're anything like me, you might like the convenience of having something sent that you actually need directly to your door. And with DoorDash grocery delivery, you suck up for the week or also order last-minute cravings with absolute convenience. You've already been trusting DoorDash in the past to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers for you as well. With thousands of grocery stores involved in this process to choose from, you'll be finding the best in your neighborhood, plus boosting your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you want and what you ordered, or you'll be made right by DoorDash. Sit back and enjoy your quality groceries now as if you picked them yourself. And if you want even more value, save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash is the best in the business, and they deliver what you want exactly how you want it. And right now, 50% off is coming to you on your first DoorDash order, up to $20 in value when you use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. 50% off, up to $20 with no minimum subtotal, and $0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNBA. One more time, that promo code is LOCKEDONNBA. 50% off your first order with DoorDash. To the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas is at 44.5. They add Grant Williams, as well as guys like Seth Curry and Rashawn Holmes and some rookies, Derek Lively. They lose Christian Wood. They lose our guy, Frankie Smokes, no longer there, unfortunately, for Dallas.
Summer League legend.
Reggie Bullock, or Bullock, however he decides to say that day, and Davis Bertans. This is a weird one because they won 38 last year. They were better than that point differential wise. Kyrie played 20 games.
Actively tried not to win for the last 4 games.
Yeah, they didn't try at the end. Maxi Kleber missed half the season.
Yep.
My initial lean here, honestly, is the over, but I don't love it, to be honest. I don't know. What do you think?
I actually like the over. I don't know if it's one I want to lock up, but I actually do feel pretty good about the over because, again, here's the thing: is I think a full season of Luka Kyrie is going to be really good offensively. We know that. We know it's going to be What?
I'm just saying that full season of Kyrie thing. Can we project a full season of Kyrie?
Well, but I'm saying even if it's not going to be 20 games of Kyrie.
If we know, okay, I'll say this: if we
55, legit 55 games, I think might be enough.
Okay, I was gonna say if we knew Kyrie, if you told me Kyrie's playing 50 games, I would bet the over.
I think he will.
I think so too.
It's always a question, but I think he will. And so my thing is the offense is going to be good. I like the moves they made in terms of there's just the depth is better.
Grant's good. Grant Williams is good.
Grant Williams is good. I think he's like really especially good for what this team needs because like his one value point offensively is like he's become a very good knockdown shooter.
Yep.
Like he is a legit good corner 3-point shooter and he's going to feast on those with Luka. Like he's just going to get a ton of good looks in the corner. He's also a crazy versatile defender. Like he makes up for some of this. Like you can do some weird small ball stuff with him and Maxey if you just decide you're not ready to trust Derek Lively a ton. There are
your guy Dwight
Powell. Dwight Powell at $4 million a year is a whole lot better than Dwight Powell at 12. Like I think his role is going to be lessened. I'm also really high on Derek Lively, and Sam Vecini kind of tempered me down a little bit because he says he's not really ready offensively. And like, I fully admit that I am the guy who parachutes in on recruits at the end of the year. And there were not many guys that looked better at the end of the year than Derek Lively in terms of the impact he had. He was dominant defensively. Like I look at him as a guy who maybe towards the second half of the season could give you like a lesser version of what Walker Kessler gave the Jazz, where it's just like, he's just immediately like a plus rim protector, drop defender in the NBA, like immediately. And if you have that kind of rim protection behind Luka and Kyrie, it makes up for a lot of the issues that they can run into and just cleans up some of that and raises your floor defensively from like, they could be like the worst defense in the league, which they were at times after the Kyrie trade. Like if they can just be like the 22nd best defense, like this isn't over to me. And so with Grant, with Lively, I again, like Seth Curry, that's a guy who's been there before. He was a mess in Brooklyn after they made the trade because like they didn't know what the hell they were doing on the wing and in the backcourt because they had a million guys that all played the same position in Brooklyn at the end of last year. And he was kind of a mess there. But I think he works well with Luka. Again, they just need some more floor spacers. I think there's a good opportunity for them to go over this number, especially at 44.5. I like the over a little bit at 45.5. I like it more, obviously, at 44.5.
Yeah.
I'm pretty close to an over here.
That's a big win too. Like I feel like that gap from 44.5 to 45.5, like betting wise, is a pretty significant number. Yeah. So a key number, so to speak. No, I like Dallas too. I mean, I think
the concern is really the biggest concern is like Jason Kidd's their head coach.
Yeah, I'm not a believer Jason Kidd.
We're not big Jason Kidd guys.
Not a believer in Jason Kidd. Kyrie's a question mark, but I do, I think he'll get more from Josh Green. The loss of DFS, I think, does matter considerably.
No,
He's
it does.
Very good player that they had to trade in the Kyrie deal for money and all that kind of stuff. But provided they have a plan that they didn't seem to have last year without DFS to replace him, that would be. I think you've got to lean. We'll never get away from this comparison. They're kind of like the Hawks, man. They have a very similar range over under. They have a similar offensive defensive questions and all this kind. Anyway, I kind of like that. I was probably listening to you, but I would lean over if not play it.
Yep.
Okay, this is one where honestly it should be kind of straight ahead, but also kind of not. New Orleans, 44.5 is the number. The juice to the under actually at FanDuel. They did almost nothing in the offseason. They lose Josh Richardson and Jackson Hayes. They bring in Jordan Hawkins in the first round. That's kind of it. We all kind of know the deal here. It's all about injuries. Zion played 29 games last year. They were 17-12. That is well above pace.
Yep.
Brandon Ingram missed 37 games.
Yep.
Trey Murphy is already hurt.
Yes. Jose Alvarado is also already
Jose Alvarado is already hurt. Is there anything even to say other than if Zion plays 60 games, they go over, and if he doesn't, they don't? I don't know.
I just don't know how you feel comfortable betting this. Like, it's just I really don't see how you would ever be comfortable.
Yeah. Like if
If you could talk me into the alts and like get some juice, and then you're at least getting some value based on, okay, I believe Zion's going to be healthy, or I think he's not going to be healthy. Like, I like that idea way better.
The Pelicans, I say this knowing it's going to sound maybe crazy at the end of the year, they could be the number 1 seed in the West. I'm not saying it's going to happen or that I would ever pick it.
Crazy talented.
But if you told me Zion and BI both play 70 games, which is I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. But if everything broke right, last year were they the 1 seed? They were definitely a top 2 or 3 seed before all the injuries last year.
They were 2 at one point. They were 3
up there.
Everything fell apart.
And, I'm not saying they could win 60. That's probably a little bit aggressive. But this could be a 52-win team, and I would not be surprised in the slightest. Now, if anything, if it goes wrong, they could win 35, and I would be surprised.
It's such a high variance team that I'm with you. Like, I just don't understand how you want to, like, invest in this. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, do you really want to be invested in, like, Zion's health at this point? If honestly, you're betting the over, that's what you're doing, is you're investing in a guy who hasn't been healthy to stay healthy. But also, like, personally, the thing is like, I don't like rooting. Like, if I'm taking an over under, I don't want it to be really, like, injury based in terms of the under.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if they're healthy, like, I don't see how they don't smoke this number. I don't want to be invested in being like, oh, somebody's out.
Rooting for injuries. Yeah, you don't want
that. So, like, for me, this is a nothing, because I'd love to play the over. I'd love to believe in the over, but it's really hard for me to believe Zion's going to play more than half the year.
If you made me choose, I would play the over. And the reason, and honestly, if you ask me,
it's because they could go way over, right?
Well, but yes, I think there are more outcomes where they go over. Pre Trey Murphy and Alvarado injuries, I might have just, like, even strongly leaned to the over, even because I think they could still win 48 games, not without Zion entirely, but, like, if Zion played 41 games, played half the season, they could still win 48 games. I would not surprise me. They literally, so I'm looking at this last year, they won 42 games with a point differential of a 46-win team, and they got 29 games from Zion and, like, 45 from Ingram. So, like, they were basically this team last year with very bad injury luck. Like, that's why I'd lean over, personally.
The concern for me really is, like, I think Trey Murphy is, like, sneaky their third most important guy behind Zion and BI, because they don't have anybody else who does what he does. Like, you look at their roster and they just don't have another wing. He's added some, like, on-ball skill. He has added, like, real versatility to his offensive game. He is a big and strong defender. He's versatile on that end. Like, having him and Herb out there together gives you an awful lot of options on defense to really kind of wreak havoc and attack the ball and apply pressure. And meniscus injuries, as we know, theoretically 3 months. But we have seen these things linger. Like, those are the ones, even more so, like ACLs, I think, because there's a more complete recovery path, because you can't get back on the court until you've almost completely recovered.
Yeah.
I think the ACL has less of a lingering effect. Like, there's rust to knock off, but the meniscus, those guys get back out while they're still bringing it back up to health, because you're not at real risk anymore. And I think that's what brings in that lingering, oh, we got to rest him for another week because it's sore, because we maybe pushed it a little too hard. And because this is already going to bleed into the season, I worry that he's going to push.
Yeah, that's all reasonable. They've got some depth, but it's not crazy depth if you take Murphy off the board. Yeah, I mean, I would lean over if you made me choose, but I'm with you. Sure. I think our instinct is definitely the one that
just to stay away. Let's not financially invest in the Pelicans. I would say I'll be happy. I'll be happy if the Pelicans are good, because then my boss will be happy, and when Brett's happy, I'm happy.
That is true. And if you want to get, like, insane and want to start looking at some, like, number 1 seed futures, long odds, I wouldn't
top
hate
4,
that. If you want to just root for some fun,
a little top 4 action or something.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's just stay as far away as possible from New Orleans till we actually see proof of concept. All right, now we move to the non-playoff projection teams. And first on this list in the Southwest is the Houston Rockets. 31.5 is the number. This is a team that is very, very different. You and I talked a lot last year about having the Rockets had a real chance to be dead last in the league 3 years in a row. They didn't do it.
The Pistons boxed them out.
They did, but they've been truly awful for 3 consecutive seasons now. They won 22 last year, and that was not a fluke. They didn't get unlucky. They were that bad. But they did a lot of things. I mean, I'll just name them real quickly. They bring in Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks. They draft him in Thompson. They bring in Jock Landale. They bring in Cam Whitmore, Summer League MVP, of course. Even they brought in Jeff Green and Aaron Holiday, just 2 professional veterans.
Landale.
They lose a lot of guys. They lose KJ Martin. They lose Garuba and Ty, Josh Christopher.
Hawk legends, Garuba and Ty.
Agreed. Hang the banner for those guys. And more seriously, Kevin Porter Jr. should not play basketball anymore, and he's not on the team, so at least not right now. They also traded Eric Gordon midseason last year, which is a loss. He was not great for them, but he was the adult in the room. Yeah. So last year, it's almost throw it out. They did so many different things. It's we're almost going fresh here, but 31.5 is an interesting number. They're trying to win, which is important to throw out there. From top to bottom, they seem to want to win. It seems like you're leaning somewhere.
Over. Okay. Ooh, this is lock it up.
Lock it up on the over.
Lock it up.
Wow.
We did this I did this with Sam.
Okay.
A couple of reasons. One, Rockets fans have been mad at me in the past, so I'm trying to get on their good side.
Number 2, they want to win.
2, they want to win. Ime Udoka is not coming in to develop guys. It's not what he's there for. We are no longer in. Yeah. So this is something that's I was saying about. He's going to play their best lineups that win. Everybody's talking about how great Şengün has looked this summer. He continues to take strides. But the other thing is, if they decide in some fourth quarters that he doesn't have it that night and he's not giving them what they need at the rim, Ime will play Jock Landale.
Oh, yeah.
He'll put him out there.
Or they'll play Jabari at center. Or
they'll do some stuff.
Yeah.
And that is the difference to me in 3 wins during the season is actually managing the team to win. And it's a big difference than what was happening in the past, which was clearly not a lot of organization based on everything that came out about how Steven Silas was operating the team. And there was not thing. It just didn't go well. Everybody's Steven Silas is the best dude in the league, but it just wasn't right.
They hired him to coach a team that was trying to win. And
then they gave him young kids and there was no direction. I think the defense is going to take a big step forward. It will not take the step forward that they quite wanted to. If they got Brooke Lopez, this would be a legit good team.
Yeah, I mean, Van Vliet is scrappy. He's not a great defender, but because he's so limited.
Well, he's just going to fight. He's going to fight over screens. Look, you've watched a lot of mediocre perimeter defense in your day covering Hawks teams. You know what it looks like when there's point of attack effort. Yep. And guys that are fighting over screens and how much more disruptive that is than when guys just run into a screen and die and when it's just so easy to get into offense. And it's just going to be harder because you have Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks really make it hard to get into your initial set. And that's a big thing. In the regular season, that can be the difference in a couple points per game on your defensive rating. That's legit. It's that simple. Again, there's still concerns at the back line. I'm bullish on Jabari Smith taking a step forward. One, because he was just not very good last year, and it would be hard for him to not be better. But I know the thing is he dominated Summer League, which is what he's supposed to do.
But he did it. And we've seen guys that were supposed to do that and looked pedestrian at Summer League in year 2, and you go, uh-oh. There's a collective Carl Lewis moment on press row when you see you see a guy who's a sophomore who's out there who's the 5th best player on the floor. There's a That's not the case with Jabari. I think he's going to take a step forward, which would be big. And then if Jalen Green and Şengün look good, I think Amen Thompson is going to be a helpful player as a rookie just because of what he can do.
And his
if you
skill set.
put him in kind of a smaller box than you might think for a guy picked as high as he is.
Yeah.
Because he can use his athleticism defensively and pass and do all those things. No, I am not as high on this as you, but I do understand what you're saying. I think that the over is the lean. One more thing to throw out there on the trying to win thing. They owe their pick to OKC. Unless they're in the top 4. Now, if things go real bad,
wrong, sure,
they will pull the plug, and they should. But it's not a team where, like, if they're, let's just say they're 30-47 at the end of the year, they're not going to just pull the plug and lose their last 5 on purpose like they might have previously. So that does matter on the margins with an over-under. So, I kind of lean over to Fred. Fred being there as an adult is going to help. I worry a little bit still about the defense because, like, the talent is just not very good.
No, there's a concern, but I am a believer that just some structure on that end from Udoka matters.
They were terrible offensively last year. And look, I think their offense is might be pretty good. I'm not saying it's going to be, but if they play Sengun a lot and you get a step from Jalen and Fred's good and
just a little more, and also I think playing next to someone like Fred VanVleet will naturally pull back some of the Jalen Green like mistakes. And like, because like the thing is like when he's playing next to Kevin Porter Jr., it's just
it was chaos,
running wild, and like there's no structure. And Fred VanVleet's going to get him some good looks that are just easy looks for him, and like he's not going to have to create so much for himself because like there just wasn't anybody to create for everybody else. And that's the other thing. I think Şengün's going to benefit a ton from having VanVleet because he's going to get the ball in his spots. I mean, like I go on this rant every time we talk about the importance of having a point guard is when you have a talented scoring big, they can only be as good as the position they're put in. Like they're only going to be their max efficiency if they're getting their ball on time when they get to their spot. Like how many times do you think Şengün worked himself into good position and stood there with a hand up for 2 whole seconds and got pushed off of his spot?
They had no guard play.
Times. And so they just didn't have guard play. Now they have guard play. My biggest concern with this team in terms of the offense is you just made Dylan Brooks your second highest paid player. Will he believe he should get the shot selection of the second highest paid player? That is my biggest concern because everybody's always like, oh, maybe Dylan Brooks will buy in. We've been saying that for years. He's not going to, I'm not believing he's just going to suddenly like stop doing that. But will he understand he's third in the hierarchy, or is he going to think he's second? That is a big thing. That is a concern. I still go over.
All right, you heard it here. Robbie's taking the over. I will pass, but I lean over if I had to choose. Last one in this division. The San Antonio Spurs are at 28.5 wins. I know you know this. It was higher earlier in the offseason. They, of course, add Wemby, but the rest of the roster is pretty similar. They do bring a couple of veterans, Reggie Bullock, Cedi Osman, some like professional level wings. Not great, but fine. They lose KDB Diop. They lose Romeo Langford, whatever. They were awful last year, like truly awful. A 19-win point differential. They were awful. Now, granted, they didn't try at all, which is that matters. If they had tried last year, they would not have been that bad. They would have been bad, but not that bad. I don't know what to really make of the Spurs. By the way, they also traded Jakob Pearl midseason last year, so they had him for half the year and still were this bad, and he's not there anymore. I don't even know where to start on this, Robbie. They have guys who you like up and down the roster beyond Wemby, like Devin Vassell and
Keldon Johnson,
Jeremy Sohan. I like Trey Jones as like a competent number 30 point guard in the league. Like he's a fine player, but are they going to try? How much is Wemby going to play?
That's the big one. So Wemby was managed. Talking with Sam there, he was saying like he was getting like 5 days rest in the French league.
Like and that was by design to keep him healthy. But yeah, that's
by design. But I can bet you the Spurs are going to.
Oh,
he's
not playing 75 games. Not happening.
The real question is, will he qualify for Rookie of the Year? Will he get the 65?
Oh God.
Because now he has to, and
I don't think so.
I can't imagine now. Like I bet that has been a fascinating conversation internally with Wemby's people and the Spurs figuring that out. because this is the first year that's been a thing.
Man, I hate. You know what?
It's such a bad.
That is so dumb.
Such a stupid rule.
I hate that.
Hate it so much. Because here's the other thing: it never comes into play in like a real debate. Like the only times this has happened is like, I think Embiid's rookie year when he was qualified was like
Embiid versus Brogdon was entirely down to Brogdon played like literally twice as many games.
And so the voters literally did it.
They picked Brogdon.
You don't need a policy. The voters
especially on this rookie of the year is almost the worst.
Rookie's the dumbest one because anyway. Long story short, that's fascinating.
Well,
I think I lean on.
Before we move on, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I think people are probably on the whole a bit too high on how good he's going to be as a rookie.
Yes.
And
in terms of impacting winning.
Yeah. I think that, look, my rookies are bad policy extends to most people. I think he actually could be pretty good, but like I'm seeing him in like the top 60 of these top 100 lists. And it's like, guys, he's going to be a 19-year-old rookie. Like he's probably not, maybe he's awesome. I don't know.
Dude,
but like,
I mean, we saw it at Summer League. Like there's stuff he's got to figure out. There's a different physicality he's got to figure out. And the other thing is he is going to face the problem that very few rookies face, but we've seen in the past, is like he's getting everybody's best shot.
Oh, he is number one on the call sheet. No question about it.
No, yes. Like, and
Veterans.
It's not even, and it's one of those things where it's like a lot of guys can get away with it because like, okay, the Spurs are in town. Who cares? Nobody wants, because everybody knows they have like 7 national TV games.
They're going to be on a lot and get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It's just
and like you don't want to be on the highlight reel of Wemby. Nobody's going to want to be on that. And so like he's going to be, I think I'm with you. Like I think he's going to be good. He's going to show the flashes. I think he's going to do some stuff that we all go, we've never seen that.
Yeah.
Like he might tip dunk his own 3 again, like stuff like that. Like he's going to do some crazy stuff. But on the whole, I'm guessing he's going to be inefficient because he wasn't super efficient as a shooter. And the way that they deployed him in Summer League makes me think he's going to spend a decent amount of time on the perimeter. I don't think he's going to be super efficient, which means he's not going to impact winning a whole lot on the offensive end. Defensively, I think he's going to be great immediately. But like,
but even then, he's going to have some weaknesses. Like he's not going to dominate.
No, because he's
19.
The thing is, we've seen guys come in with similar-ish frames, and like, there's just things that they got to work on and deal with. Like, what's he going to do when the Grizzlies throw Kenneth Lofton in the game? Like we saw that in the U19s. Like he couldn't handle it.
Did FanDuel have a line on you mentioning Kenny Lofton on this podcast?
He could not handle it. By the way, we got through the whole Grizzlies section, but I was ready.
I was proud of you.
He couldn't handle U19s. Kenneth Lofton put him in a body bag. I'm just saying.
That did happen.
I'm just saying, carving out space, okay? He's going to, like, Draymond is going to just lean on those knees, man. Like, I'm just saying, I think I'm with you. I think people are a little too excited about what he can do in terms of how good the Spurs team's going to be. And, like, they're all talking about, like, Wemby's literally out here saying, like, I could lose the first 4 years and I don't care. I still have time to win titles after. Like, he's got a perspective on this that's a little bit different than a lot of folks. And I think that keeps the pressure off of San Antonio to have to push too early. I think he's on board with everything they want to do. So for me, this is an under. I don't like it as much at 28.5. When it was 30.5, this was like hammer down.
I agree.
3-bedroom, 3-bath condo, steamer, like all the way.
Under lean, we agree. The number got beat up by people that are probably smarter than we are, that have money, and they bet the under. So there you go. Okay, Rob, we've covered a third division. I appreciate your love and support on this podcast. Check out the podcast. Is that a place to send people? Diamond UPROXX. Where do you want to go right now?
The podcast is rolling right along. We're off the rails.
Not suitable for work the last couple.
Not suitable for work the last couple episodes. We've kind of lost the plot a little bit, but that's all right on Arkansas football and Charlotte football. But that's okay. It's a fun listen if you can get down with it. Otherwise, season preview time coming up at UPROXX. We'll be dialing in the content. Brad, me, Bill. That's kind of about it. Katie, some other folks possibly. So
we had some graduations recently.
We got some graduations. Okay. Jackson Frank.
Shout out to Jackson.
See you in Philly, brother.
There you go.
But yeah, man, that's all I got.
Thank you again, Robby. We'll have more with Robby later on in the offseason, doing 3 more of these. Hold your breath for that, everybody. We'll see you all next time.